Super Bowl champion DeMarco Farr. Here is Travis Rogers.
Now, this is how you do a party, DeMarco. You come to a place like this where there is live mariachi music.
Yes.
Where you are surrounded by, I don't know whether to call these TVs or screens or whatever they are, but they are beautiful.
Yes, they're huge.
There's food, there's
everywhere.
drink, and we're going to talk football today.
All day.
This is what this should be every single day.
I love this. This is a great idea. Why don't we do this like once a week? And we get good scarves. I know. We dressed up for this. This is awesome. I love it. Being amongst the Ramley is awesome. A bunch of season ticket holders.
It
awesome.
is. Look, we're going to talk to a whole bunch of people today. We're going to talk to Chris Shula, the new Rams defensive coordinator, coming up here in about 10 minutes. So we'll talk with him. We're going to talk with Kevin Demoff, COO, a couple of players, Steve Avila, Bobby Brown coming up as well. But, you know, we were just talking with Sedano and Cap, and they were talking about wine. And I know how close you are with Dick Vermeil.
Yes.
And I know how special of a person he is to you.
My coach eternal. Yes, sir.
I have a bone to pick with that man. Because they were talking about the wine that Sasha Vujicic brought them.
So did Sasha show up in studio with wine?
But I know that they had, and Cappy's going to get wine out of it because he's Cappy, right?
Oh, Cappy's that guy, right? Yeah.
At the Super Bowl between the Green Bay Packers and the Pittsburgh Steelers in Dallas, Texas, at Jerry World.
Yeah. Okay.
Dick Vermeil was making the rounds through Radio Row. And I was very excited to see Dick Vermeil, Super Bowl winning head coach. This is very, very exciting.
What year was that? I'm trying to remember.
2010, I believe.
So 2011 years maybe? After we won the Super Bowl.
Yes.
But still energetic, and after his Kansas City deal.
He was great. He comes in, and he sits down at a table just like this one, and he sits a big bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon right in front of me. He's telling me about his winery. He's telling me about living in Napa and all this wonderful stuff that goes along with it. And I love wine, DeMarco.
You're a wine guy.
I'm a wine guy.
Okay, right.
Well, I mean, yeah.
He put it right in the middle of your table.
Look, if it's free, it's for me.
Right.
If it's free, I'll take 3.
Absolutely.
Right? That's just how the radio thing goes.
Yes.
Right? That's why we get into it, is for the free food and drink. And he's telling me about this wine and how it's, cellared and all of these other things and when it's going to be ready. And he
Isn't that the Super Bowl 34 wine?
It might have been.
That's his signature wine.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I love that wine. Yeah.
I get my 5 minutes with him, and he gets up to go to the next one. He took the wine with him.
Oh.
I like everybody that comes by in the Super Bowl. Here's a bag of Skittles. Here's a 6-pack of Corona, or whatever it might be, right? Yeah. And I'm thinking, I'm going to get a very nice bottle of Cabernet right here. He took to this day, it was 14 years ago, and it's like it happened yesterday.
Oh,
I haven't let it go.
Should I text him?
Please.
If I text him and tell him that story, he'll send you a case. He really will.
By then, yes.
He'll send you a case.
Text him right now.
But that is totally him, though. He's thinking, look, I'm going to do like 15 interviews in like 30 minutes. Do I bring 30 bottles of wine or just one? I'm going to bring one and keep moving it. That's him. That is totally him. If I make a connection, I'll send you wine.
I couldn't believe it. It was great. We'll
get that
wonderful.
Rectified. Yeah.
Of course, he was the Super Bowl coach when you won your Super Bowl. The Rams not coming off of a Super Bowl appearance, but here we are just a couple of months after the end of the season when it ended. And you tell me how big of a surprise what last year was. Because for me, DeMarco, a 10-7 season, arguably the best playoff game that we saw throughout the entire season until we got into the Super Bowl with the Chiefs and the 49ers along the way. But I did not think that the 2023 season was going to be a 10-7 playoff appearance season for the Rams, and that's exactly what it was.
Not many did, and I'm mad at myself. I'm mad I didn't check in and see. We're going to be sitting down. I thought we were going to be standing up. I was going to bring both rings.
Oh.
But that's just too much to be, walking around with. Right. But sitting down, I could have done it.
Pull your shoulders out of your socket.
You know what I'm saying? That's just a lot to deal with, especially when you got to go in out of the, the men's room and whatnot. So you got to plan those things out. But we had a table. But anyway, yeah, I mean, no one had the Rams making the postseason. This was supposed to be the rebuilding year. Remember?
Sure.
No one wanted to say rebuild.
Remodel, I believe, was the term that Les Snead used.
Right. No one wanted to say rebuild, especially around Les Snead or Sean McVay. But when you think about how this league works, this should have been your rebuilding year. If you missed the postseason, everybody would have gave you a break for it. But the one person we forgot to ask about that was Sean McVay.
That's for sure.
And by extension, Raheem Morris and that whole coaching staff. They had other things in mind. They were just as driven as the players, if not more so. So, you're loaded with guys. You win the Super Bowl. You got Von Miller. The next year you get Bobby Wagner. You just got talent everywhere, and you make it happen. But then you show up with a group of youngsters that need to be first coached up to your scheme, coached up to the speed of the game, and then make them effective players in the National Football League all in one calendar year. completely, totally impressive.
We were talking about this on my show earlier today, the Travis and Sliwa show, 10-1. You should check it out. It's pretty good.
I love that show.
Yeah. It's
except for that Slee guy.
It's all right.
Yeah.
It depends on what we're talking about.
And this Emily that says something about Pulp Fiction.
She's pretty
Anyway,
good.
go ahead.
We were talking about this. They found 5 starters in the draft last year.
Yeah.
If you find a couple, that's a pretty darn good draft. They found 5 starters in one draft without a first-round draft pick.
Okay, not just that. You can find 5 starters in the draft, and they're all terrible, but you have to start them, right? And they just don't play well. You found 5 guys that actually can start and play well and get better. That's the most impressive thing to me. The guy we're going to talk to today, Steve Avila. You plugged him in at left guard, and
there's going to be enough room between the two of us?
I don't think so. I'm looking at it. Yeah. Have you seen the movie Moana?
Yes.
That's Maui. That is him. I swear, that's that guy. Yeah, he's amazing. So, but that guy, you plugged him in at left guard, and all he did was play every rep for you, every single snap for you. That is impossible as much as it's incredible. You know what I'm saying? And then to make that guy get better towards the end of the year, yeah, just amazing. So you draft guys, you identify guys that this guy could start for us, and then he does it. That's just unbelievable luck and unbelievable coaching.
And you did it 5 times.
Yeah.
It's like you said, it's one thing, like you only have 50-some guys on the roster. You're going to have to start 11 of them on each side of the ball.
He's not ready. He's not ready. We know.
You got to do it anyway.
Right.
None of those were just, we don't have a better option. They were all guys that played at a high level. And then a couple of guys that played at an insanely high level, like Puka Nacua, like Kobe Turner, just guys that were really not just playing football, but playing at a crazy high level.
I'm trying to ignore Puka in the offseason. I am. I'm trying to ignore him. He's everywhere right now, and he should be. You should enjoy this.
He can play basketball like
You're
that?
an all-pro. Did you see him cram it?
Unreal.
The dude's an athlete. Yeah, born to do it. He's becoming a celeb. Yeah, I don't like this right now.
You're afraid of what exactly?
Do this after year 2, maybe. Just a little bit more. I don't know, but yeah, he's been phenomenal. But can't wait to see him come back and capitalize and continue to do what he's done. Plus, the reemergence of Cooper Kupp. I still think that guy exists.
Cooper Kupp.
Even with Puka Nacua doing what he does, I still think Cooper Kupp exists.
I think that's one of the things that we'll talk about here over the course of the next couple of hours is how those two guys fit together moving forward. If Puka Nacua can be the number 1, does Cooper Kupp slide to the 2? Do you have a 1 and a 1A? How does it all fit together? That's all coming up. We are here at the YouTube Theater. It is Rams Revealed. J.B. Long and Andrew Whitworth on the stage right now. We're talking all about
wearing hoodies.
Season. Both. By the way, I wish I could pull that off. Like I want the hoodie out of the back of the sports coat. Can I pull that off?
That is big guy chic. Of course you can. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm glad the big dudes are taking over.
Okay.
Yeah, come on.
All right. I'm going to go shopping for a hoodie then. That's going to happen. All right. Chris Shula, the new defensive coordinator of the Los Angeles Rams, he will join us next. That's coming up on Rams Revealed, live from the YouTube Theater on 710 ESPN.
DeMarco Farr live from the YouTube Theater, right next to SoFi Stadium, for the Rams Revealed private event. Private only to season ticket holders, which means if you want to be at Rams Revealed next season, just become a Rams season ticket holder. Go to therams.com to get all the information. Once again, back to YouTube Theater and back to DeMarco Farr and Travis Rogers.
Now would be a very good time to put in that application for season tickets because they are coming off of a 10-7 season, a season that was supposed to, like DeMarco said a minute ago, the word that you weren't supposed to say out loud, right? The remodel, I think, is the word that was used publicly. This upcoming season should be incredibly exciting. A lot of new faces, both on the field and on the sidelines as well. New defensive coordinator Chris Shula joining us right now. Chris, thanks so much for stopping by.
Great. Thanks for having me on.
So do you even get an off season when you get the promotion to the D.C. job? Obviously, you've been with the Rams for 8 years, but all of a sudden you are in that D.C. chair. What is it like? Did you just hit the ground running the very next day?
Hit the ground running. I think when I got the job, we had about a week and a half left of vacation.
Okay.
But we still had to hire coach. You got to fill out the staff, and there's a timely manner to that because the coaches that we hired, Greg Williams and Giff Smith had other opportunities in the league. So it was a timely fashion that we had to, you become the D coordinator now. Next thing you know, you got to get coaches. That happened the very next day. So filled out the staff, feel great about them. Unbelievable staff. And then, now we're, working on the draft and free agency and scheme. And, there is no offseason to answer your question.
Is that are you on the horn as the DC calling guys? Saying, or is that somebody else calling for you? Like when you're calling to fill out your staff.
Well, we got to put in a request for the interview, so you can't talk to them directly. So, so they put in the request, and then once the request goes through, then we kind of set it up. And,
that's really awesome, man. I mean, look, I hope I don't bug you on game day because I always come up to you on game day and ask him questions.
You never do it,
and it's always right when you're done working out, or at least when I think you're done working out. But always great answers. And I was looking over the list of guys that you've been with. You've been with Wade. You've been with Raheem Morris. Joe Barry got a job. Brendan Staley got a job. I mean, you've coached from the secondary to the linebackers to the front. When did you know you were ready for this moment to be DC in the National Football League?
I never really thought like that. I was always just so focused on the job at hand. I was never really looking ahead. When I was coaching linebackers, I was ready to coach linebackers for the next 10 years. Moved to DBs, you do the same thing. And then, I think all those experiences and all the great coaches you work under eventually just prepare you for the task at hand, which is right now. And, that's all I'm focused on is the now, and that's what I did in the past, and hopefully that still continues to benefit me.
That's one of the other points, like during games. I know you get so engrossed doing what you're doing, coaching your guys, but did you ever stop and just make mental notes for yourself, like, if this comes up down the road, I would do X, Y, and Z? Did you have those moments?
Yeah, for sure. I think you're always kind of you're always kind of knowing that this is the next step in the progression of the profession, and you're always kind of thinking of it. If I ever get that opportunity, I may do something this way. And there's always stuff that's kind of fun to think about.
I like the way he did that.
Yeah, exactly. What and that's the thing is working under a Wade Phillips and a Brandon Staley and a Raheem Morris. They all did it in their own way. They were all very different, and they're all very effective. Some great, obviously Wade's one of the best of all time. Raheem's track record speaks for itself, and so does Brandon's. And so just working under those guys, you learn so much, and you kind of take a little piece of them, but you got to do it your own way.
Chris Shula, the Rams' new defensive coordinator, joining us here on Rams Revealed. And it's kind of what I wanted to ask you next, Chris, is all the names that you mentioned that you've worked for. These are guys that have been around the league a long time, have a kind of a ton of experience. You obviously spent your life in football and have been around it a long time. Taking everything that you see from your mentors, from your peers, and saying, okay, I like this from this guy, I like that from this guy. How much is putting together all of that, and how much of it is, I want to do it like this, just seeing it your own way and putting that spin on what you've learned throughout your years coaching in the league?
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're going to do, and you're always going to be yourself. Like, I can't even try to be Raheem Morris. I think everyone could kind of see that. You can't try to be Wade Phillips. He's kind of his own man. You just take certain things that I think you can – from those. Like Raheem developed relationships with all the players, and he did that, developed the relationships in his own way, and I'll develop relationships with the guys in my own way, and that's kind of the thing. And Brandon, I always thought was so good at studying around the league and always watching stuff and always studying and always getting better, and you kind of take that from him. Now you don't know exactly what he's studying, you kind of do that in your own way. And then same with Wade, he let his coaches coach, and he gave them ownership, and I've always kind of felt that having such a strong staff, that's definitely how we'll operate.
Wade was sneaky funny. He was. He would send out a tweet like How old are you? And you're tweeting, or you see him dancing on the dance
Still
floor?
tweeting. Yeah.
I mean, you might have to cut a rug every now and then.
Wade was, yeah. I don't know about that, but Wade was classic and awesome to go to work with every day. He really was, and the stories he would tell about some of the older players he coached and stuff, it was so cool to go work with.
You know, I was reading, and you are one of 2 families that are third generation coaching in the NFL. Who's the other one?
Yeah, the Phillips.
The Phillips family. Oh my God,
Wes
that's
Phillips,
right.
yeah.
That's right. Oh my God. Does that ever dawn on you? Like, wow, this is like in our blood. This is what we do.
Yeah, that's what I found that out actually when I got hired here initially with the Rams. When I came up and started working with Wade, and Wade actually said that to me. So I think he's the one that told me that.
That's right. So Bum, Wade, and his son
Wes.
That's
Yeah,
right.
here.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow. Right here. They all were here
I
at
was
one
going to
point.
say,
That's
it's all
nuts.
coming through Los Angeles.
That's
at one
nuts.
point or another.
Unbelievable. Wow, history.
And this, I asked Raheem Morris this question a few years ago, and I always remember the answer. So, but before I tell you what he said to me, I'm curious your take on it too. How do you coach one of the greats to have ever played this sport? How do you coach an Aaron Donald? How do you put him in a position to get better and be at his best?
Yeah, I think for Aaron Donald, first of all, he wants to be coached, and that's always the thing that, like, with the Rams, and one of the reasons why we've had had success over the years is our best players want to get coached, and he wants to get coached just like everybody else. And now, obviously, you're not going to treat him just like everybody else because he's earned that right. And I think with him, it's showing him how you can get him one-on-one. You know, what can you do? How can you get him one-on-one in the run game? How can you get him one-on-one in the pass game? And showing him those types of things. And now, hey, maybe here you might have a tough down, or maybe here, you know, we might be doing this and bringing something the other way. And, you know, and it's kind of a give and take. But I think that's where it starts, and you kind of show them, you know, hey, here's where we can benefit you.
What are some of the differences? Like you said, you know, he's earned the right to be treated differently, that he wants to be coached. What are some of the differences?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's whether it's a veteran off day, you know, whether it's something with meetings. I think there's definitely some non-negotiables, some, you know, when it comes to playing hard on the field and some stuff like that. You know, how we take the field, how we play, you know, how we get off blocks, how we run to the ball. That's all going to be the same. But I think, you know, as far as how you get the process of getting to play your best on Sunday, it's a lot different for a guy that's been in the league 10 years and made however many All-Pros, you know, versus a guy that's been, you know, 2 or 3 years in the league. And I think it's going to be a lot different. I think everyone would agree with that.
When you see him with his shirt off, yeah, your tone will change. Absolutely. This guy can rip my arms off. Let me just, you know, I'll just ask him. No, but you know, Aaron is special. We know that he's from Mars. He's from a different planet. But the guys that, like Ernest Jones, who got progressively better, and you keep asking more of him, and he keeps performing. And guys like Michael Hoyt, position change, becomes a starter in the National Football League. That's the stuff that gets to me. I love watching Aaron play, but I love watching guys progress. We're going to have Bobby Brown on the show, right?
Yep.
Another guy who got nothing but better the more reps he gets. That's the stuff that fires me up. How about you?
Yeah, exactly the same. And, you know, I think of another guy, Quentin Lake, who got the opportunity this year, you know, kind of the second half of the year, started playing at some different spots, started playing the safety position, started playing the star. Another guy we're really excited about. Yeah, you mentioned Ernest Jones. You mentioned another guy, Kobe Turner, Byron Young. I mean, those guys. But, yeah, that's why you get into coaching. It's about the players. And that's why, you know, all of us that coach with the Rams, you know, it's all about the players, and it's how we can get them to play their best and trying to show them and everything we can do, every stone unturned, no matter what it is. It's all about them. It's not about scheme. It's not about anything else. It's how we can get them to play their best. And you know, I think when they know that and they realize that, I think that's when, you know, they'll play hard, and that's when great relationships form.
Rams new defensive coordinator Chris Shula joining us here on Rams Revealed. And not statistically, that's not what I'm asking, but just the evolution of them as football players. What does year 2 for Turner and Byron Young look like?
Yeah, I think it's just continuing to grow. You know, I think Kobe Turner doesn't necessarily get enough credit in how he played the run. You know, you talk about the 9 sacks breaking the rookie record, but he's a great player on all downs. And I think it's just continuing to increase his role a little bit. Maybe you know, his stamina, play a few more snaps. You know, he's already played a 17-game season now, kind of build on that. And I think the same thing with Byron Young. You know, I think he's got so much ability and, you know, maybe honing that pass rush a little bit and maybe not running down the middle of the offensive lineman. Stuff like that where, you know, you're working to move, you're working an edge, using your speed. He's a great player versus the run, you know, continue to build on that. So I think it's just 2 guys that are all around really good players on, you know, versus the run and the pass, and just building on what they do well.
I have a theory about Byron Young. I don't want to not blame. Blame is the wrong word, but I wish the Rams at SoFi had a tremendous home field advantage to where you couldn't even hear in here. like up in Seattle. Imagine Byron Young with that speed off the edge when you couldn't hear as a tackle.
There's no doubt, yeah. That's what we need. We need the fans to show up and,
That's 16
and come
sacks.
out and help Byron Young out.
That's
sure.
what I'm talking about. I mean, that dude, we said he is a tremendous talent. Once he learns how to pass rush, he's going to be dangerous. And you saw the light come on a few times, didn't you?
Oh, definitely.
There were a few plays and a few drives where he went out there and he was the best player on the field.
No, there really was, and we saw it in camp. We saw it in OTAs. We saw it throughout training camp, and he played a ton of snaps. I think him and Mike Hoyt were in the top 5 at the outside backer position in snaps played on the season.
Definitely competing.
So to come in and do that as a rookie is one of the more impressive things I've ever seen. And I think he had 9 sacks as well.
Yeah.
He had at least had 8. And so, he was a productive guy. And, yeah, you're exactly right. He's got so much ability, and I think part of that will be keeping him fresh, so he can get off the ball every single snap, where some of the times he's not saving himself because he knows he has to play a long drive. I think it's little things like that where we can show him, or I think we can get the most out of him.
Well, just one quick thing.
Yeah.
Schematically, things going to change, or that's still up in the air?
It's a little bit up in the air.
Up in the air.
We're getting into it. We'll build off what we've done and keep with the core foundation, and we'll see in the next coming months.
We'll throw one more at you, Chris. When DeMarco's talking about that light coming on for a player like Byron Young, you see that thing. Is it a technique? Is it a recognition of something that they're about to do to him? For
You
somebody
get whammed by a fullback, that light will come on quick.
Is that what it is? Just understanding what they're trying to do to you?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of that. On defense, you're always reacting. So, it's reacting to the offensive tackle set. It's studying the sets. It's having it move and what do I do best, and now having counters off it. It's all those types of things that we'll continue to work with him on. And you know what? He's one of the hardest workers on the team. He's exactly, when we talk about guys in the draft that we're looking to onboard, we're looking for guys like Byron Young. So.
Chris Shula is the new defensive coordinator of the Los Angeles Rams. Chris, congratulations. Thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having me on.
You can't have my scarf. Thanks, man.
I bet he can get one if he wanted.
I'm sure he could find one somewhere.
I'm sure he could for sure. Absolutely. Thanks again, Chris. Yeah, DeMarco, it's something else, isn't it? That this is the challenge when you have a successful head coach. This is a challenge when you have a head coach who continues to put other coaches into head coaching positions. You got to replace people.
Yeah.
And it's not one or two. It's just every single season since Sean McVay has been here with the Rams, there's been the term brain drain, right?
Oh, yeah.
This many assistants leave to go be head coaches, and they take a coach
They call
or
it
two.
brain drain?
Brain drain.
I
right?
like that.
The
I've never heard
collective knowledge of and Chris Shula is interesting too because he's been here for a while, right?
Yeah.
This will be his 8th season with the team, but just this is another one of those incredible skills that Sean McVay has is I'll take that guy. I'll take that guy. I'll take that guy. And he doesn't miss very often.
No, I think he and McVay were actually roommates in college.
Well, they all go to Miami of Ohio. Every
the
college
cradle of coaches, right? That's where they come from.
That's right.
But, yeah, I mean, like I was racking my brain with some of the season ticket holders just about 20 minutes ago. I don't think Sean McVay has ever fired anyone. Wade Phillips was not re-signed. That's not firing a guy.
Okay.
I think he was just done.
Liam Cohen left.
Right. I don't think he's actually fired anyone. They all move on to different jobs or better jobs for the most part.
It's got to be a good feeling too when Coach McVay taps you on the shoulder and says, "I'd like you to join my staff," or "I'd like to promote you to a more important position inside my staff."
Oh yeah.
That
if you're a young coach, I would make sure I would bump into McVay somewhere just so he would remember me somewhere.
Yeah, maybe spill a glass of wine on him or something.
Perfect. Yes.
I'm sorry. Let me send you a new shirt along the way. We are here at Rams Revealed at the YouTube Theater inside SoFi Stadium, adjacent to SoFi Stadium. I don't know how we're supposed to say it other than this place is awesome.
Awesome.
Marco. It is unbelievable. We're still going to talk to Steve Avila in a little bit, Bobby Brown as well, and the COO of the Los Angeles Rams, Kevin Demoff, all scheduled to join us. It's DeMarco Farr, Travis Rogers, Rams Revealed on 710 ESPN. The Rams' new defensive coordinator, who we were speaking with a couple of minutes ago, about a player like Byron Young getting that little advantage of a home field advantage where the opposing quarterback and his offensive linemen have to go on a silent count. Unfortunately, that has not been the norm in SoFi Stadium yet, but it does feel like where we are now, and you and I have been talking about this team since they came back from LA back to LA in 2016. And from where it started to where it is now, I really don't know if you could ask for more. With the venue, with the team, with the coaching staff, with the way that they've integrated themselves into the community, it really has been extraordinary. It feels like they've been here much longer than they actually have.
100. Have you been to Santa Clara? Have you been to Levi Stadium?
I have not.
Okay. I just wonder why. I'm still fighting that battle, and I'm willing to die on this hill. Like, I get it, the Rams left, and there was no team, and you had to pick one, and you picked them up north.
Yeah.
But now there's a team here that has an actual, like you said, there's a concert hall inside a stadium. This is cool.
By the way, it's not like a little wooden stage with a spotlight. It is a 6,000-seat state-of-the-art concert venue.
This is your stadium. This is your football team. You need to jump in on this. This is where the cool kids are. So I think at some point it will be like that. I hope Byron Young is ready for that. And it could be next season. But, yeah, just watching him play and turn it up and, have that light come on. When you can tell, like, he's trusting his instincts of being a football player, and he's making the right reads, and he's making plays, and he's growing in confidence.
How long does that take? How long did it take you before you stopped thinking and you just started playing? You just understood what was happening.
It was quick because I was going against Jackie Slater in training camp.
That'll do it.
Oh, my God. I mean, I learned fast. Like, there's a lack of rule enforcement in the NFL. Like, it's just you and him. Oh, I can play this game. So, yeah. But watching Byron Young just make that leap. Watch Steve Avila make that leap. Watching Matthew Stafford go from this guy to greatness right in front of you and be the toughest guy in the football team. That stuff carries over, and you have a lot of pieces. So you went through this, and you did this, made the playoffs on a rebuilding year. So what is 2024 going to bring? You have got to be excited if you're a Rams fan. That's what I mean. This might be your year.
Look, Sean McVay just came out on stage with JB and Andrew Whitworth, and he's already given them a hard time for having hoodies and a sports coat, so now I have to reconsider everything that we were talking about. You told me I could pull it off. Now McVay's busting chops over the whole pack. I may have to reconsider.
Now, don't let Coach scare you out of it. I think you can pull it off. No. See, it's big guy stuff. He can't pull it off. That's the problem.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's down in it. He can't pull off the hoodie and the sport coat.
All right.
Yeah, you got to be a certain girth for that. Yeah.
That makes me feel a little better. Look, you were talking about how coming into last season, the expectations were modest at best. Let's be honest. At best. This felt like,
it was supposed to be a disaster.
If you had gone back to the beginning of the season and said, what is more likely? That this team wins 10 games and goes to the playoffs, and not only goes to the playoffs, but is a team that could win a few games in the playoffs, if not more, or they end up with the first pick in the draft, I think you would probably have leaned more towards the latter than the former. They did get the 10 wins. And if you look at the progression of the Sean McVay era, and you know this as well as anybody, it is be pretty good, get very good, and then there's a dip, and then pretty good, very good. It's kind of a 3-year cycle. Well, this upcoming season is year 3 of that cycle. Last year, or 2 years ago, 5-12, 10-7. What's waiting around the corner? What is the ceiling for next year?
Well, you tell me. You watched this year's Super Bowl run. I mean, I thought the Rams, they could have won in Detroit. That could have been them in the NFC Championship game. I mean, who knows what would have happened there, but you see the top of the NFC. You see how the Rams were playing at the end of the year, and this is with guys making their first starts.
Yeah.
This is their first season as starters, so they're all going to get bigger, stronger, faster, and better going into this year. So you tell me if you keep Matthew Stafford healthy, if you can find a way to sign Kevin Dotson, and I think that's the most important thing, keeping him on this football team. Make sure Alaric Jackson or your left tackle spot is solidified, and you get Matthew Stafford comfortable with Puka Nacua, with Cooper Kupp coming back. You tell me what this offense can do versus what you saw on the NFC side.
We were talking about my pad that you've seen many times before. I got all my little scribbled notes here. I want you to look at what's circled right there, right? Just Kevin Dotson.
Kevin Dotson, yes. That's it.
It's very rare. We're talking about, hey, you know who might be the linchpin to this whole thing is let's make sure that guard that you traded for right before the beginning of the season that you didn't have slated as a starter.
Yeah.
you might need to give him a lot of money because he may be the guy that kind of keeps this whole thing together. Am I overstating that?
No.
Because it really feels like
No. You've got a decision to make on Kevin Dotson, and look, his representation. I wound up working out in a gym on the road with his agent and didn't know it.
Okay.
And I was just gushing over the guy. And he thought I was doing it because he was there. I had no idea he was Dotson's agent. And we met. I'm like, oh, God, I love your guy. He was like, yeah. So we were talking about the offseason and whatnot, and he smiled and walked off. But, yeah, I mean, he knows what's happening and how valuable he is to this football team. But you'd have to make a decision on Coleman Shelton, bringing him back as a center. You got to make a decision as for Allard Jackson. He's a restricted free agent. But you've got to keep that offensive line intact. How much it will cost, I don't know. Who it may cost you. But I think that is the most important thing because your most important asset is number 9.
Yeah.
And secondary to that is protecting number 9.
Yeah. Is it an oversimplification? Look, you go back to the year they won the Super Bowl. That offensive line was mostly healthy. Witt missed some time. Joe Noteboom stepped in.
Yeah.
And this is why I've always had a soft spot for Joe Noteboom because on a Super Bowl winning team, he started at left tackle for a good chunk of the season.
Oh, yeah.
Whitworth was not able to do it. So I'll always give him a great deal of credit for that. But the very next year, the offensive line was a disaster. People were hurt. They went through 15, 16 different guys, and nothing else worked. This year, it got quieted down. They only had 9 different guys play games, and your 5 starters were basically your 5 starters for most of the season, and everything worked pretty smoothly after that.
Absolutely. You know, the best thing they did for Joe Noteboom was stop listening to him. If he said owl, no one cared. Really, I don't care. You're playing. Just get out there and play. Yeah, we need you. So he's been that guy.
Steve Avila is going to join us next. One of those incredible Rams rookie acquisitions from a year ago, getting ready for his second season. He will join us right here on Rams Revealed, live from the YouTube Theater on 710 ESPN. That the Rams found not 1, 2, 3, or 4, but 5 different starters in one draft class, and it started with the Rams' second-round pick, their left guard, Steve Avila, who joins us right now. Steve, congratulations on a first year in the NFL, a first incredibly successful year in the NFL. Take me through it. What was year 1 in the NFL like?
You know, it's crazy that you say year 1, and I can't believe that it's actually been a year.
Right.
I think I was at the Combine right now, but a lot has happened. It's been fun. got drafted, I remember getting a phone call from Thousand Oaks, and my first thought was like, where the hell is Thousand Oaks? LA next to it, so it had to be one
Close
of the
enough.
But I don't even remember the conversation. I was just crying so much. You know, it was such a blessing. But I'm blessed to have a lot of good people around me, so it made the season go by, and you know, I'm super glad.
First, you's a big dude, man. I mean, my goodness, bro. How
Bro,
much do you
you're
weigh
up there
right
with
now?
me too, right?
I mean, you're
Height,
just a
come
big
on,
old
bro.
dude, though. My goodness.
Yeah.
Big old monster. You played every snap this year. Am I right about that?
Yeah.
Every single snap this year. Did you know that when you were at the Combine, when you were in your last days of college? My next step when I get to the NFL, I'm starting day one, and I'm going to take every snap.
Oh, man. No, I mean, I'm a really humble person. I believe, you know, I mean, I was put in such a good situation. But, you know, I always told myself, even in college, man, I'm just going to work my tail off. And we'll see where things go. I mean, that's all you can do. And I was put in a situation where I was, you know, I had to start. You know, they drafted me to start, and you know, I came in here knowing that. So, yeah.
It's one thing to be told, hey, listen, we need you to start, and it's another thing to show up and start and then not take a single play off.
Yeah.
That's like a whole next level along the way. DeMarco and I have talked about you a number of times, you know, before games, during games, after games, and he uses a word that is a compliment. Sitting and talking to you for 5 minutes before, it's not a vibe that I'm getting from you right away. That you bring a certain level of nasty to the to the position. That you bring a certain level of just we're here and we're gonna get after this a little bit.
Yeah.
Is it something you just flip on when you put the helmet on?
I mean, you kind of
have.
have to. I mean, it's like fight or flight. You don't want to get picked around while you're out there.
Yeah.
You're playing with a bunch of grown men, people who've been playing the game for a long time. And it's kind of like that in college. I remember that was my first thought, you know, being 18 years old going against 21-year-olds.
Yeah.
When you get to the NFL, it's up.
Right.
So you have to do your best. And for me, I remember going in, I didn't want to be the person that they picked on and watch film and be like, oh, we're going to pick on this rookie.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to be a rookie. So that's the mindset that I had going
More of a
in there.
mental or a physical thing?
Both, really, both. And I didn't want to, you know, be picked around like
Yeah.
that. So, you know, if I get some chirping, I'll chirp back. You know, you have to be as nasty as possible.
I'm shocked. I just thought you like hurting people. No. That's what it looks like to me. Yeah, come on now. No, but what an education, man. I mean, Aaron Donald, we talk a lot about him. And if you guys are in drills, like one-on-one drills, I think he likes to start on the right, which means he is right over you.
Yeah.
What was that like the first time?
Yeah, I always tell people, I have a bunch of buddies in college, and we'd always, the standard for the best defensive lineman was Aaron Donald, and we always ask, like, what do you think you can get him 1 out of 10 times? And in our head,
In college, you would talk about
in college,
that. Yeah.
like, yeah, we'll get him at least 3. Like, come on. And then I was the first to call them back my first day and tell them that it would be 0.
No way. Wow.
But it was a good opportunity, man. Like, it's always a blessing going against someone of that caliber. I learned a lot from him, just the stuff that he brings to the table, and you know, I'm blessed to have a teammate like him.
Tell me, wait, real quick. Tell me what's that when you're in college and you're watching Aaron play. I guess we get used to it, watching him do like superhuman stuff. But as a guy coming up, I'm about to be in the league with him, and you see that. What's your thought? Like, oh my God.
Yeah, he's definitely one person. Like, that is the defensive lineman that you look at, and that's what you think of. You know, that's NFL level stuff. Man, he can just do everything. You know, I remember watching film in college with a bunch of my we and we were just like, man, we got to get ready.
Yeah. But after that, who scares you in the national?
Yeah, and
league?
that's
if you
it's
deal with
definitely
that,
more
yeah.
of it's more of a mental thing too.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember going into my first game and I'm like, no one on this field is better than him.
right.
So there's definitely been great. I've gone against great opponents, but there's no one that's better than him. So that always helps out.
Can you pick his brain? Can you go to him and say, hey, listen, I'm struggling with whatever it might be.
Yeah.
What gives you trouble? Probably not much if you're Aaron Donald, but what makes life more difficult for you? I'd like to do more of that.
So I always get picked on because I haven't really taken the time to pick his brain.
Yeah.
You know, I respect him so much, and I know he's a teammate. You're on the same level.
Right.
I have air quotation marks
Thanks,
right now.
man.
Yeah.
But that is like a legend. He's the greatest of all time. But I've learned a lot from him from more of an example sense. Like, if I were to watch one of the first practices of the year and I watched the last one, I can tell that he has prepared me, you know, to play the game of football. He's given me a couple advice, you know, on like hand and all technique stuff. But yeah. So.
I asked him about his double swipe, and he wouldn't tell me. I'm like,
Yeah.
you want me to pay you or something? But, I mean, like, good Lord. But moving forward for you, I mean, we were talking about this season going in. You guys started out 1-2. You fought your way back to 3-3, and then the wheels kind of came off to 3-7. You come out of the bye just on fire. I mean, do you call it a roller coaster? What kind of season do you call that?
Yeah. So it's funny because when that was, I don't even remember being below 500 at all. Like we always had
The first
mindset.
part of the year, yeah.
We just always had the mindset of just attacking the next week. No one had their heads down. No one was like, we are a 3-7, 3-6 team. It was like, we're gonna do our best to beat our next opponent, and we just kept doing that, and it just kept on building. And we started getting more confident in what this team can do, and
Did it help
playoffs.
having a bunch of guys that were just getting started in the league with you? They drafted 14 guys in last year's draft. All 14 guys made the team.
For sure. Definitely with the transition part of getting here, we had 40 rookies.
Right.
So that was definitely, it's cool being with people that are going through the same things as you. And it's just so awesome, and I'm just so blessed that I'm able to see everybody develop, as I have. So we're all blessed.
Did you see Puka Bash in that celebrity basketball game?
I did.
now.
One of the first things that I think I tweeted, I was like, I didn't know he could get up like that.
Yeah.
It's funny because him and Coop always joke around in the huddle at practice, like they do, like getting the triple threat.
Yes.
Like they have the ball. And I'm like, bro, y'all don't hoop like that. And then he goes out there and drops 16.
Man.
He could just get up and throw one down. It's that he looked like he'd done it a million times, and he looked like a basketball player. He didn't look like a guy that just is an athlete. He looked like he knew what he was doing.
I think he dunked 3 times and he caught alley-oop, which is insane. That's
Wow.
crazy.
And just we're at the beginning stages of you and his career. That's amazing. Tell me about your quarterback, man. The first thing that comes to mind is toughness, and then leadership. You tell me what it's like to play with Matthew Stafford.
Oh, man, it's a blessing. I know one of the first things that I told myself when I got here was, like, I don't want to get him hurt. Like, and that's just such a typical lineman thing, but, like, it would physically hurt me to see him on the ground and it be my fault. So that's just how much respect I have for him. And I wouldn't want anyone else back there but him. Like, I know that he would be able to cook up something if we didn't get the right call from the sideline. I know that he will put the ball where it needs to be, and that's just it builds confidence for me as an offensive lineman.
Do
you see stuff on film and go, holy blank, too? Like
For sure. He's thrown balls during the game, and I turn around, I'm like, dude, holy.
right.
Yeah.
So take me through what it's like in one of those huddles. You got, obviously, DeMarco's Super Bowl champion. You just finished your first year in the league. You've been doing it for a long time.
I'm talking trash.
Oh,
my God, I'm barking.
Right? You got to go score. Like, here we go. We got to go do it right now. Is it rah-rah? Is it just chill? Like, hey, this is what we're going to do. Here's the play. It's what I need from you. Take me through the emotions of those.
Yeah, it's definitely rah-rah on the sidelines because, you got to pump yourself up to win. But I feel like in any level of sports, when it gets tough, you need to have a blank mindset.
Yeah.
So that's definitely what, he's been in so many of those situations. Again, like, he's confident in what, we saw it when we played the Colts. So he's done it a lot of times. And, again, I wouldn't want anybody else.
You want to make a case for Kevin Dotson real quick? Anything?
Yeah. People ask me if I want him back, and I tell them yes. Like,
that's it?
I tell people I tell people because, like, I wouldn't be a good GM.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we had the pieces to get it done last year. So, he's an awesome guy. He came straight in with the mindset of when I get in, I'm not coming out.
Yeah.
So, he's awesome.
I don't know who surprised me more. Him. He's huge. I saw him on film in Pittsburgh, so I'm not so surprised. Kyron Williams really surprised me. I didn't think he was going to be a lead back.
Yeah.
I thought he'd be a complimentary back. He was a physical little running back.
Yeah. It's hard for me to gauge what a good NFL player was going in because I didn't know. But now that I'm looking back going into camp, Kyron was making plays, Puka was making plays. All of these things were happening, and I felt like that's what it goes into the season. So it was kind of expected, from being in the inside. So I know we can build off of that.
Steve Avila, Rams left guard, joining us here from Rams Revealed at the YouTube Theater. What's it like when you find out? You knew you were going to go to the NFL. You knew you were going to get drafted. It's just a matter of where you're going to go, when you're going to get drafted. And all of a sudden you find out you're coming to Los Angeles. You're coming to a team coached by Sean McVay, who has had about as much success right out of the chute as anybody that's ever kind of come into the league, especially as such a young person. What's that like, knowing that I'm going to go play for that guy?
Oh, man, you always hear about good coaches, Nick Saban, Bill Belichick, Sean McVay. And I know he's a younger coach, so it can be easier to relate to him. But as soon as I got here, the way that he did things and the way he commands a room was encouraging for a rookie. He knew that we had a young team, and I felt like the way that he navigated through the season helped us develop into what we were. So he definitely made it a safe space to be better and learn. It was a learning process for all of us. I always tell people if I was anywhere else, I don't think I'd be as good as I am.
Really?
So, yeah.
High praise. I bet that playbook was different than college.
It was. But I mean, during the Senior Bowl, you kind of learn a new playbook, but it all gets bunched together. It's like, this is the same play from college that I ran.
Yeah.
But it's a lot more stuff.
See,
it's
that's
more
the
of a
light
technique
you're talking
thing.
about. That's the light coming on.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
this is that. Oh, bang, go play.
It's more of a technique thing.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the biggest difference. I had to learn. That was what was really heavy when I got here, is just learning how to do things the way they want to. So it took me a couple weeks to do that.
What are the goals for next season? Individual goals. Obviously, team goals are team goals. What about you personally?
Oh, man, I just want to continue. I want to play every snap again. That's one thing. But, man, I just want to be better than I was last year. That's a big thing for me. One thing that I told myself coming in is, like, I didn't want to be a bum. And I know that's, like, very
Mission
vague.
accomplished.
It's very vague. But a lot of people talk about sophomore slumps, and I don't want that. I want to put myself in the best position to help this team.
He
that's really all I
pancaked
care
Bobby
about.
Wagner, and I'm like, I bet he doesn't know who he just did. He just pancaked the Hall of Famer.
yeah.
You know, he don't know. He don't know. Just keep doing that right there. Do me a favor. Say your last name.
Avila.
Say your last name again.
Avila.
Avila.
People say Avila. It's Avila.
Avila.
Yeah.
There.
Like,
Done.
Just remember, like, avocado, that first AV in that Avila.
It's going to stick, man.
Yeah,
You
I
made
hope
the
so.
avocado
I
from now on.
Congratulations on
Yes,
a great
sir.
rookie
Thank you so
season.
much.
It was fun to watch, and more pancakes of Bobby Wagner and guys
Yes, sir.
like him.
Sure,
moving
with
forward.
syrup.
Steve Avila.
Yeah, there we go.
There you go. Steve Avila, Rams left guard. It's a pleasure, Steve. Thank you so much. Rams Revealed live from the YouTube Theater. We're still going to talk with Kevin Demoff. That's coming up in a little bit. We're going to talk with Bobby Brown as well. DeMarco Farr, Travis Rogers, 710 ESPN. Lots more to get to.
Theater with Rams Super Bowl champion DeMarco Farr. Here is Travis Rogers.
The Super Bowl ended less than a month ago. I'm ready to go again. Let's go again. The Rams haven't played a game since, the second week in January?
Yeah.
Right? So we've been a month and 2 weeks or so since they've played a game. I'm ready.
See,
I'm ready to get back into it.
That's what 10 wins will do, right? I mean, there are some teams like you get 4 and 5 win seasons. You want it to last a little bit longer, this offseason thing. Now, this is fun. You want to get right back at it because it's out there for you, especially in this division. I think San Francisco is as good as anybody, but I think the Rams, the way they were constructed, if they would have bumped into them into the playoffs, if they got past Detroit and you bumped into San Fran, I think this whole season changes a little bit. I think they're good enough to beat them.
I do too.
In San Francisco.
What do they need to get better at to do that though? Because the last game of the season aside, where it was Carson Wentz against Sam Darnold, a lot of backups playing in that game, they won the game, so you give them credit for that. But prior to that, the Niners have had the Rams' numbers. Other than the NFC Championship game, by the way, I'd like to point out the most important game.
Yeah.
That the Rams won that one, but the Niners have won. Was it 9 in a row prior to that along the way? What do the Rams need to get better at to prevent that from being not just trying to win the division, but in the fact that they run into them in the postseason to be able to beat a team like the 49ers who are loaded on both sides of the ball?
I'm sure somebody listening is going to tell me. I think when I was in the NFL, they had beaten the Rams 17 straight times. When I came in, it was like 10.
Okay.
And we didn't beat them until like 6 years into my career. So, yeah, I mean, these streaks last for a while, but what you have to do is, number one, you have to block Nick Bosa. For this football team, you have to keep him off Matthew Stafford. I think you have the ability to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, you've got to out-tough and out-hit George Kittle and Deebo Samuel. That's been the issue. They've been the most physical team. They think you're a finesse team, and that's how they play. And they take guys with them. So you have to out-hit the Niners. I think you've turned the corner on that. Once you got the win, even if it was the backups up there in San Francisco, once you get the win, you change that mentality. We can beat them.
Yeah.
We left the field with more points than them. So that little mental edge is starting to dissipate. The third thing you have to do, and this is the most important and probably the toughest, you got to find a way to stop Christian McCaffrey. Easier said than done.
Sure.
But there's ways to beat him even without stopping him. Keep him on the bench, which means your offense has to stay on it. So I think you have the ability to beat them. You can morph into whatever football team is needed to beat San Francisco as long as you don't hurt yourself. If you have the opportunity and you finish and you start the game the way they finished the year last year, you can beat San Fran.
So there's I don't know whether to call it a philosophy or it's just happened because it happens and it's the residue of just you spend your money elsewhere. But we saw the Rams this season go into it with a backup quarterback situation that was, unfinished, for lack of a better word, right? They draft Stetson Bennett. That obviously did not work out. Brett Rippon gets
unfinished.
A shot.
Yeah.
That didn't work out. And to the point where they had to go get Carson Wentz, who, he's an NFL player. He started in the league. He's performed well in
franchise
the league.
guy.
He's a franchise guy. So he comes in that last game of the season, you're like, oh, that's an NFL. It's not unlike what we saw with Baker Mayfield a couple of years ago, where it's like, oh, that's NFL quality quarterback. Is it the second coming of Patrick Mahomes? No, but it's a good NFL quarterback. Do you think that maybe next year might be a little different, knowing that, look, guys get dinged, guys miss a game here or there. Matthew Stafford missed one game last year, and having somebody that can come in and give you a puncher's chance or better. Is that something they do differently next year moving forward?
So important. I didn't know that Brett Rippon was going to,
He had a tough day.
I mean, rough.
Tough day.
I'm sure he's better than what he showed in Green Bay.
Sure.
He just choked. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
But the situation was kind of weird. Matthew Stafford and then huge drop-off.
Yes.
So you're depending a lot on Matthew Stafford, and he ultimately got hurt. But this year, I said, look, when you got Carson Wentz, if you can talk him into staying here and not chasing the Baker Mayfield, I got a chance to compete and be a starter someplace else, because I'm not sure how do you feel about Carson Wentz as a free agent? Like, where would you stack him? Top 10?
Maybe.
Kirk Cousins,
Joshua
Dobbs?
It's hard because the Indianapolis thing didn't really work out.
Yeah.
The Washington thing didn't really work out. He looked pretty
How about
darn good
Carson
in that game.
Wentz or Gardner Minshew? Who you picking?
Wentz.
Okay, so Joshua Dobbs, Carson Wentz. Okay, so he's going up the board on you. So somebody may offer him a chance to come in and compete for a job. But if that doesn't happen, and if you can do a heck of a sell job between Les Snead and Sean McVay, hey, look, why don't you just sit here, be Matthew Stafford's understudy, help us out a little bit. We think we have a chance to go all in and win. And who knows? If he gets hurt, you're in there. You know what I mean?
Sure.
This could be your job here. So if you can talk him into
Who
doing
do you
that.
have to tell that to? Think about what happened to him.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's a great job. But if he decides to go elsewhere, then you've got a situation.
Yeah.
I mean, do you address that in free agency? Do you address that in the draft? You've got to have a credible backup to Matthew Stafford just in case something happens.
Every sports organization in Los Angeles should have mariachis. I'm
You
sure
like
that
this?
you can hear it coming through your speaker if you're listening to it right now. I don't speak Spanish, unfortunately. I wish I did, but I don't know what they're singing about it. But it sounds beautiful. The music's awesome. Every Lakers, Dodgers, Rams, Chargers, Angels, Ducks, Kings, Galaxy, LAFC. Everybody should have a mariachi.
That's what I keep. See, this is your football team.
Yeah.
This is your team. You probably live 2 blocks from here. But see, you got a red hat on. For why? You're right here, man. You could be in here partying with us. We got a mariachi band. Come on now.
I think you gave me bad information on Steve Avila,
What was the bad info?
that he's nasty. Because that was the nicest guy I've met in a very long time.
See, that's
he had
how
a
he sucks
smile
you
on
in.
his face.
That's how he sucks
was
you in.
engaging.
Yeah, I bet he smiles when he puts you in traction, too. Absolutely. I've seen it up close. I've heard the real Steve Avila. Oh, my God, yes. Go barking at guys. He absolutely flat-backed Bobby Wagner twice. Twice. Bobby looked up like, what just hit me? And, like, Steve was just going off. Like, you don't know what you just did, kid. You just pancaked the Hall of Famer.
So Puka got a ton of the shine, right? Because he set 3 NFL records. He set 2 regular season records and 1 postseason record. So obviously he got all the attention he got, he deserved. But what Avila was able to do and play every snap at that position, and like he said, and I thought it was really interesting, it wasn't just survive. It was, I'm fine. You know, there were some games that were better than others, but there was never a, hey, that's not really working out. He just showed up day one and was a pro. How does that work?
You know, the cool thing, I was talking to his O-line coach, and he's a real quiet guy. He's got the beard. I mean, this is the guy you want as your O-line coach. He's a nonconformist. I love him. Walks around in slides. He's that dude. I love this guy. But asking him about Steve Avila or about Dodson, about the offensive line without asking him directly about people. Like, you got to go out and play Eric Armstead or this certain guy over here. How are you guys going to handle your protections for this game? You know what he says?
Yeah.
We're going to keep it the same. We're going to keep it. We're just going to run our stuff. Now, most people have plans for people. But when you have ultimate trust in the guys you're putting out there, you can just run your stuff. So that means you may get Eric Armstead or a potential Pro Bowler locked up on Steve Avila, a rookie left guard, and you're comfortable with that because he can handle it. And not only are you comfortable, he buries the guy.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
and it's not like, okay, we fought to a draw. It's, no, I'm good, man. Let's go
Yeah.
again. That's, you could just tell it kind of permeated that entire offensive line that he and Dotson in particular, and the inside, you know, the 2 guards, it just kind of that vibe kind of permeated its way out to the
You know,
edges.
I'm so glad you got out about Stafford when he says, I don't want to be the guy that gets him hit.
Yeah.
Because that's how he plays. Throwing his body around in pass protection. He's got this guy locked up. He'll see like either a Lamar Jackson having trouble or somebody having trouble and throw his body back in the way to protect Matthew Stafford. What's that movie? Necessary Roughness?
Okay, yeah.
They'll never touch you, Mr. Blake?
Yeah.
That's that guy right there. I'm telling you, that's him
That's
right
the one
there.
with Kathy Ireland, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Great movie.
I'm just making sure. It's Sinbad, Kathy Ireland, and the guy from Quantum Leap.
Right.
Yeah.
That's that moment. Like, they'll never touch you, Mr. Stafford.
That's great.
That's how he plays, yeah.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about Puka too, DeMarco, because this was a 5th-round draft pick. This was somebody that, you know, had – I think there were some expectations, but, again, it's a 5th-round draft pick. If you were going to kind of put out what's likely to happen, what you hope happens, and then your wildest dream, is that what you got? Did you get your wildest dream the first year with this guy?
5th rounder to All-Pro, right?
Yeah.
Then everybody in the NFL scouting department needs to be fired just for a month and then come back because everybody missed. Yeah, this guy's tremendous. But you mean for him to follow up this season?
No. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about a guy that came in, because I remember talking to him out at UC Irvine during training camp, And
I'm sitting right there.
You and I were doing the show together. And he's got this big smile on his face.
And he's bigger than you think.
And he's bigger than you think. But you could just tell. And I remember listening to Sean McVay after say, no, you don't understand. This guy's better. It's different. We have big expectations of him. I've only heard him say that about a very select few guys.
Yeah.
He said it about Cooper Kupp. He said it about Kyron Williams. And he said it about Puka Nacua. He saw it coming. What did everybody else miss? How did he just show up? Because go back to that opening game against Seattle, he was phenomenal. It's like, who is this guy?
I'm sure that people had him higher on the board. It was just that 40 time.
The speed.
We just can't use a premium pick on a guy that's sub 4.5. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We'll look stupid.
Yeah.
We'll take the chance.
Who looks stupid now?
Everyone else has passed on him, including the Rams that waited 5 rounds to get him. You know what I mean? If he was that good. But you saw it in training camp, and I'm looking at him as you're talking to him. I'm like, this dude is huge.
Yeah.
You see his head?
Yeah.
He's a monster. So we're thinking he's going to be the Robert Woods replacement. Takes him into rounds, catch an occasional screen, get up the field. Tough guy. Ben Skoranek type dude, right? The thing that impressed me the most was his receiving skills.
Yeah.
Going up, fighting for it, putting his body, mossing people. His mastery of the offense so fast to know where you need to be and how fast the ball is coming out. Being effective that fast within this offense was amazing for him.
Is there just some guys just get it? And I wish I had a better way of saying it, but just I remember, I think McVay, maybe it was either McVay or Stafford that said it, that said he sees football like I see football. Like we're looking at it the same way. We're seeing the same things. We're speaking the same language. Well, he'd been at BYU. He'd been at Washington. He'd been in some different places. He just comes in, and you're talking about the playbook with Avila and him having to learn the new playbook, the NFL playbook. It just seemed like he just kind of showed up and instinctively knew where to be, not just as far as the way that the play was designed, but Matthew Stafford knew where he was going to be.
Yeah.
He was in the right place
How do you function
at the right
within
time.
the offense?
Yes.
Yeah, within the play call to the offense.
That's just innate.
Yeah, I mean, it takes – I mean, I don't want to pick on guys, and I'm not. I'm not going to mention names. But there were some receivers that never got it the entire year, and they were functional guys within the offense. Caught a few touchdown passes, but never really could immerse themselves in the offense to say, I know it. He knows it. He knows it immediately. So he can take that, and you can trust him that he knows where to line up. And then he knows how to play. You know what I'm saying? Within the offense.
Yeah.
This is where I fit. This is where he's looking. This is where the ball might go if they run this sort of coverage. So that stuff you can't teach. But then you have to think, what a heck of a role model he had in Cooper Kupp.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
Football savant is also in your room.
Yeah.
That can run the meeting. So it was a perfect storm for Puka Nacua. There's an opportunity. You've got this, and you've got the quarterback that can get you the rock.
What's year 2 look like? I mean, if he sets a rookie record for catches, he sets a rookie record for yardage, he sets a rookie record for receptions in a playoff game. He's an all-pro, like you're talking about. He's become a celebrity in a town that is driven by celebrity. There's no greater currency in Los Angeles than being famous. He is now. How do you top? What's the second act to that?
You just be yourself, man. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Just be yourself. Whatever your progression was going to be, just make sure you meet that. Whatever your workout goals are, you just meet those. If you worked on, catching balls out of the jugs machine in March, do it again in March.
Yeah.
Don't change a thing. Add if you can, but never sacrifice and say I'm there. And I don't think he's that sort of guy.
I don't either.
Did you see his family? Oh, they love them some Puka.
Yeah.
But they're all critical. They know. I don't think they'll let him take a backward step.
They shouldn't be critical of his basketball NBA All-Star celebrity game. That was unreal.
Yeah.
Sometimes you see a guy that's big, strong, jump up, dunk the ball. Like, that dude is moving around like an NBA guy.
Like graceful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, just give me it on the run. I'll just go in there and flush it in traffic. Big deal.
It made you mad at McVay, right? If he can do that, red zone.
Exactly. Let's
Right.
get up. Let's get up and do it. The COO of the Rams, Kevin Demoff, is scheduled to join us coming up next. It is Rams Revealed, live from the YouTube Theater on 710 ESPN. Not only if you are a Rams season ticket holder do you get to see all of the Rams games as well, but you get to come to something like this inside the YouTube Theater. It's a pretty extraordinary venue. DeMarco, you and I have been talking about this a lot. It is a 6,000-seat concert venue inside an 80,000-seat football stadium.
Inside a stadium.
Which is pretty remarkable. And, man, in large part responsible for this, the COO of the Rams, Kevin Demoff, joining us right now, as well as his daughter, Claire, who is here with us. Kevin, this is a pretty good setup. We should do this more often.
We should do this more often. The way you describe it makes me sound like a turducken, right? Like a duck within a turkey. Like no, YouTube Theater is a hidden gem. I think.
Yeah.
People come to SoFi Stadium all the time. It's one we've always when we built YouTube Theater, the idea was we would do Rams events in here along with we have about 60 music shows here a year, but it's great to see our fans fill this building. And what a fun night just to hear from coaches, players, executives, a little bit of sparring on stage, and have some fun.
Having fun. Are you nervous that Claire's going to interview you?
I am
you
not
have to
nervous.
be, right?
There's nothing that she'll ask tonight that I haven't already heard.
Really?
Now, you guys may goad her into this, but, my daughter, for those who are listening, 17-year-old, wants to be in sports media, so I'm trying to talk her out of it. So.
It's a great job. Come on. You love us. You love talking to the media. What are you talking about?
I do love talking to the media. I was once one of the media, so I do enjoy it, but, at least when we're good.
Let me ask you, let me start here with this question here. How did you phrase 2023 going into training camp? What did you call it? What did you say it was?
The word I heard was remodel.
Remodel. No one wanted to say rebuild.
I think we used every word there is, right? Yeah. Like remodel, redesign, and I was joking up on stage. I wrote a season ticket holder letter last year at this time, basically like, we're not going to suck. We're going to be good. We truly do believe this, but it will be a different year. And Claire will tell you at the end of the year when we're watching games, you're watching some of the other games at the very end of December when we're trying to make the playoffs and you're home, especially after that Saints game. And I'm like, I really want to make it because we had a vision for what last year could be. And it was maybe hard to see this time last year that we could really remodel. Was not rebuild because we still had a Matthew Stafford, a Cooper Kupp, and Aaron Donald. You're not rebuilding with those players. You're not rebuilding with a Sean McVay. But it was changing a little bit of our philosophy last year so we could get back to being aggressive. And so really rewarding to see it pay off. And I was saying on stage earlier that the number of people who came up to me last year and then this offseason saying last year was one of the most fun years they had as a Ram fan. Not the same as 2021 or 2018, but just pure joy of watching that team grow from the offseason to training camp to week 1 against the Seahawks to where we finished against the Saints to making the playoffs. Was a fun journey watching these personalities come alive, watching this team come alive. And, very proud of the organization, and now can't wait to go back to the lab and rebuild.
It's one of my favorite things. Seeing your
rebuild
dad,
for
fist pump. It's really
rebuild
cool.
for this year, not rebuild. I want to be very clear.
Right. Rebuild for 2024.
Rebuild can come back in the lexicon, but not maybe the way that it.
We'll make sure you don't get aggravated.
Build upon.
Build upon.
Yeah.
Do you go crazy at games, Claire? Do you go nuts? Are you subdued?
Not as much as him. No.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get so nervous though I stop breathing.
Before the game?
No, during the game.
See, I keep asking
I'll hold
him.
my breath for
I
full
ask you
plays.
every game, are you nervous? And you tell me, no.
No,
No, he's so nervous.
I just handle it better. I still, one of my favorite visions from all of my time in the Rams, Super Bowl drive, Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp going down the field. We're, everybody's dialed in. Les Snead is in the back of the suite, basically kneeling, crouching, muttering to himself, not watching.
Well, just because you're that nervous doesn't mean you're not nervous.
And I mean,
he
it was
calls
just,
it.
We're sitting back there, and Les's phrase in 2021 was not, to be anti-fragile, to be resilient. So he's literally in the corner of the suite muttering, not anti-fragile, anti-fragile.
Wow.
Like,
mantra.
And we're like, even Stan's kind of looking and be like, this is our GM? Like,
Wow.
But you know what? When we scored the touchdown, all was good.
Yeah, I was going to say that was a pretty good moment. Kevin Demoff, the Rams COO, his daughter Claire, joining us here at Rams Revealed inside of YouTube Theater. It's just been a great night. You talk about the vision that you had when you were putting this place inside of SoFi Stadium. Go back to when the team came back to Los Angeles. In your perfect vision of how this thing had played out over not quite at a decade, but we're getting close. Is this about as good as you could have hoped for to this building, a really good team, a Super Bowl championship, another Super Bowl appearance, a coach that feels like he's not just a good coach, but maybe something incredibly special in the history of this league? Could you have asked for anything more?
Yeah, no. And, I think when you look back, when we first moved back, I'd always tell the staff, every decision we should make, I said 10 years from now, in 2026, when the NFL asked, did we get it right by moving the Rams back to Los Angeles? That answer has to be a resounding yes. But everything we do has to be pointed towards that goal. It can't just be short term. It can't be immediate gratification. And, when you talk about the journey back, like I wouldn't have wanted 4-12 in the first year.
Sure.
Right? But what that led to was an examination of what are we doing right, what are we doing wrong. And to lead us to Sean McVay, that is still, he will go down in the history books. The fact that he just this year is no longer the youngest head coach.
Finally.
But he's the 5th longest tenured coach in the NFL.
Amazing.
Right now.
Yeah.
And, hopefully this year, assuming we have a halfway decent year, will become the all-time winningest coach in Rams history, 85 years. And then you build upon that, this amazing stadium that Stan built, this journey that's happened, 5 playoffs in the last 7 years, 2 Super Bowls, a Super Bowl title right here in this building. I look on stage and see Andrew Whitworth, who won Walter Payton Man of the Year in this building, which I think is such a great testament to the work of this community. We do in the community, spearheaded by players like Andrew. We're going to see players like Puka and Steve Avila come who are the next generation, the Kyron Williams. It's not just what came here at start. You're building something for the future. I said this earlier, and I believe it. This is, to me, the best I've felt about our organization since we moved back. Just when you look at everything humming at the right level, from coaching staff to players, to fandom, to the way the building's operating, to just the community feel. Like I feel like we're hitting our peak and our stride. But look, there's a lot of work to do. And the great part in Los Angeles, you're never done.
No.
You're competing for a title every year, and you look at a team like the Dodgers, just when you think, hey, 10 straight playoffs, we're just going to go up it with Shohei Ohtani and Yamamoto. Like, that's what I love about being in this market is you can't become complacent with a good season, a title. You have to chase it every year, and you have so many great franchises here who do chase it. It raises the bar for all of us.
Sounds fun, exhausting, but fun, right? But you wouldn't have it any other way. This is the way you'd like to have it, chasing championships every single year.
I think when you come to a market like this, in any market you're chasing championships. But Los Angeles, Inglewood was known as the city of champions, right? That tells you all you need to know about what is expected here, what happened up the street at the Forum. And, we expect to compete for championships year in and year out. That doesn't mean it's always going to work. And I think when you look at, last year was really extending that window to make sure that it wouldn't just close with that group, but that you could keep going after championships, keep trying to win. And, we have an amazing fan base, amazing ownership group that gives us every resource, to go succeed. And the only impediment is ourselves. And when you look at that and say that's the only thing holding you back from a championship, that is great motivation to get up every day and have action.
Lombardi resides in Inglewood. How are we doing so far, Claire, on the interview? Are we okay? How's he doing?
Okay.
Really? You got any tips? What should I ask him next? Because I have a question about Raheem Morris. Should I ask him that question?
You should ask him about his embarrassing moments.
I'll let you ask him. Embarrassing moments. Go ahead.
Because you're pretending right now that you're the best person ever.
Wow.
And I think people should know the real you.
You put her on the
And
headset. Go ahead.
sometimes I don't know how to, you're very special.
He's dad.
Last night your mom said you were very special.
Go. Special.
Our fans say a lot of, you read the comments online, they don't bite like your own family, right?
No, it hits a little
not at all.
different.
It hits a little different when it comes from your own family. And
Flesh and blood.
Remember, he's going to buy you a car.
As Claire
And he's
said,
already bought me.
Claire says her job is to tear me down.
Okay,
so,
well,
so she
mission
must be on Twitter or X because she can come, rattle them off with the best of them.
Oh, my God. Straight to the point.
Straight to the point.
Let me ask you about Raheem Morris, and tell me if this is fair. I hope he loses to the Rams in every NFC championship game for the next 12 years.
Did you hear what Sean said?
What did he say?
He goes, I'm so excited for Raheem ass. He goes, but we're going to beat his ass every time.
There you go.
There you go.
I think that's fair, right?
Absolutely. We're going to know how to attack him.
Yeah, but you're happy for his opportunity.
I will say this. When Raheem called to tell me he got the job, I was so excited for him. Like, it was one of my moments of joy, followed by this immense pain of how much he means to our organization and meant, and that gut punch that he's not going to be there the next day.
Wow.
Right? Like, you're so excited for who he is and what he's earned. And, I remember, this is a poignant story. When we hired Raheem, and it was right after Brandon Staley had been with us a year and gotten hired as a head coach. And we hired Raheem, and I worked with Raheem in Tampa. It was so great to have him back. And I was like, we're going to get you a head coaching job. And he looked me square in the eyes and he said, Kevin, He goes, people like me don't get head coaching opportunities the second time in the NFL. And it was not a laughing matter. It was very direct, a commentary on where black coaches are in our league, where he thought his opportunity was. To see him 3 years later, a Super Bowl champion, gets to go back to Atlanta as a head coach, is so special, I think, for everybody in this building. But we're going to miss him, and I'm so excited for Chris Shula and his opportunity. But Raheem Morris was the glue to our organization. Meant so much to everybody. I think you know, like,
Oh, yeah.
you don't replace people like that. We will do our best, but he's going to be an amazing addition for the Falcons, and I hope to see them here at SoFi in January.
Yeah, he's maybe the best example of what I wanted to ask you about next, Kevin. We're talking with Kevin Demoff, the COO of the Rams, that
Special.
because the team is very
Special.
special,
In a
the
positive
COO of the Los Angeles Rams,
Maybe.
according to his own flesh and blood. The brain drain every year, right? That you have a coordinator that becomes a head coach. You have, and he's going to take players with him. And it's not just one guy every here or there. It's every year. It seems like people come and raid Sean McVay's staff to go and build their own programs. Does it ever get any easier trying to deal with this?
I feel for Sean, right? This was a year in which, you were hoping Raheem would get a job, but you were hoping for some security with the staff and the way it was built, especially after he kind of rebuilt it last year. And to lose, I walked in today to first day of drafting to the coach, and I look around, I'm like, I don't know any of these people. We got like 9, 10 new faces who are here, who are coming, but Sean does such a great job of finding people who are fits, and I think he keeps refining it each year. And, someone this year, like a Nate Shieldhouse coming from Iowa State, OC, a young up-and-comer, bringing him in really to kind of come for a few years. Nick Haley last year, who had a couple of opportunities to go be an offense coordinator in the NFL this year and turn them down, I think was a great addition to the staff. You continue to see it across the board. And then one of the things that's great to see, the Aubrey Pleasants of the world who come back.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we always talk about, it's such a great environment. Listening to Mike LaFleur up on stage, people who might have had bad experiences in other buildings who come back in, feel what it's like to be part of a Sean McVay staff, feel what it's to be part of this organization. And look, having a successful organization means every person in the building on the same page, pulling for one another, having joy playing football. And I think that's one of the great things in our building. We're a serious football building, but we have fun.
Yeah.
And I think, football is important, the X's and O's, and I think we do it at as high of a level as anybody. But people can be themselves. And, you show up, you have fun, and hopefully you go win on Sundays. And, that's what's great. But it is exhausting. I feel for Sean, he wants to go on vacation each year at the end of the season. It's always
Gotta
about
rebuild his
coaching.
staff.
Coaching. Even you think like, okay, like you're disappointed you lose to Detroit, but there's always that bittersweet end of the year where it's like, okay, you get a little bit of a break. And it's like, no, you're right into filling your coaching staff and, 9, 10 additions every year. And I'm sure we're probably at over 40 changes probably, on that staff since Sean's been here. I mean,
Wow.
But you think about him. This is, he just finished 7 years as a head coach. He's had 5 head coaches.
Unreal.
It's unreal.
Get hired. Then you add a Jed Fish in at a place like University.
Yeah,
The Husky.
Wolf,
Go
our
Dogs.
Huskies. Come on now.
And then, probably another 6 or 7 coordinators across the league. I mean, it's an impressive – his tree, is now a forest.
Pretty big. Yeah.
Grove, orchard, forest. It's more than a tree.
It's more than a tree, for
Pretty
sure.
demanding, but pretty big tree. Absolutely.
No question.
This year, you got a first rounder. You got some money. I mean, this is
got
fun, right?
everything for the
Some
first time in a
money.
while.
You're coming off a playoff season. This is fun.
So this is fun, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I think this is a year ago, and I put this in the letter, the problem was we had always been so aggressive. We just didn't have the draft picks or the salary cap space to win those battles. When you go into a Christian McCaffrey trade, people can outbid you. That was never the case with us before. And, now, with hopefully 11 picks, once we get these compensatory picks and, a first rounder, maybe 4 picks in the top 100, about $45, $50 million of salary cap space, we can go be the Rams. We can be aggressive. We can jump out. And I think one of the things that people didn't get last year is we didn't have to be as aggressive. I don't want to say tearing it down, but making the moves we did. We could have kicked the can down the road. There are other teams that do that. But we wanted to get back to, I think, being able to take big swings and being able to really, if a player becomes available through a contract dispute or, falls out of favor through a salary cap cut, or we can move up in the draft or trade back. All of those options are available to us. Not something we haven't had, but it's funny. I remember we sat with Sean in Les the first day of the offseason. And Sean asked Tony, he goes, how much money do I have? And Tony gave him a number. And Sean's like, wow, that's more than I've ever had in my career. By the end of that night, he's like, how do I get more money? Right? Like, he was like.
Wow. So you need to get the answer to that, Claire.
No,
it's a very important question. Like, okay, how much do you have now? How do we get more
in
from
2017,
I
we
wish
told
they
him,
taught us that in school.
2017, I think we had 40 million in cap space, and he's like, how much? We have like 45 million, maybe we 50, low 50s, depending on where the cap finishes. And he's like, oh my God, that's great. He goes, how much did I have last year? We're like -2.
Wow.
He's like feeling great. By the end, he goes, how do we get to like 50, 60, 70 million? We're like, you don't.
Easy.
Take
it easy.
I mean, this is, this guy got a payday loan and,
Wow.
is out there buying a Bentley.
Heck yeah. I like it. We'd all do the same thing. Come on.
Absolutely.
Those of us who oversee the cap are like, can't you just get a Toyota, a
Buy a
Ford,
Camry and run forever.
maybe like a Range Rover? No, we've got a Bugatti.
You're dang right.
And we need a second one because one isn't enough.
Absolutely.
I got one quick one for you, Kevin. You mentioned his name a second ago, and I remember, sitting in the press box, and when they put him up on the board on Thursday Night Football, the Saints game, when Shohei Ohtani was in the building, and just the buzz that went through it. And, we've seen LeBron James there. We've seen, it's Los Angeles. Celebrities come to games. Was the Ohtani thing even another level for you?
Insane.
Yeah.
I think our players, he's so big.
He's huge.
Like, he's standing there on the sideline, and, I remember
fits.
Rob Havenstein, like Bobby Brent, like looking up and they're like, that's a dude, right?
Yeah.
I just think what he does is so, you think about Matthew Stafford and Aaron Donald wrapped up in one.
Right.
Right?
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
insane. He's, last year, Lamar Jackson and Myles Garrett, right?
Wow.
That's an amazing player.
The person providing the most buzz was my brother.
Yeah,
Your brother?
Brother loves
He
Shohei
loves
Ohtani.
Oh.
Everybody
Shohei
loves
Ohtani.
Shohei.
He got a jersey yesterday for his birthday.
Yeah, there you go. So, but you talk about he was in our locker room.
Yeah.
And he really doesn't speak English, right?
Yeah.
So, you're just taking it all in, and that
Got that
language gap
buzz.
makes it almost even more amazing because he has a way of communicating with those players, and just the smile on his face was awesome. And he's such an amazing athlete. And I think that just goes to show when you talk about Los Angeles, this is meant for big stage, big players. It's why you build a place like SoFi Stadium, and it's a great credit. This crowd here. You talk about that Thursday night. I thought that atmosphere was one of the best regular season atmospheres we've had at SoFi Stadium in my time, since it's been open. And that's kind of when you look at these fans who are here tonight, what we built. We have plenty of games for their visiting fans, don't get me wrong. But that core fan base that's out here tonight that showed up for, those 4-game win streak is an amazing fan base, one to build off of. And, the players like Shohei, the players like Matthew Stafford, Aaron Donald, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, they're what make you so excited to be in Los Angeles because that stardom here is unlike any other place.
Kevin Demoff is the COO of the Los Angeles Rams. His daughter Claire called him very special in the middle of this interview. Thank you both.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Fantastic. And good job, Claire. It is Rams Revealed live from the YouTube Theater, and Puka Nacua just walked onto the stage. Seems like a pretty popular guy. More to come. 710 ESPN. A great night talking about Rams football here. Rams revealed, and Bobby Brown is joining us right now. And your guy, Steve Avila, is talking about you on the other side of the room. Did you hear what he said?
I didn't hear what he said.
So he was saying he came up to you when you guys were teammates this year and asked if you remembered him when you played in high school, and he asked, and you said, "Who are you?"
Oh, I did.
You did? Wow.
Because I do it. When we played in high school, his name on the thing was Esteban.
Oh.
So he introduced himself as Steve. I'm like, bro, I don't know you, bro. Like,
Who do you think's bigger?
Bobby.
Bobby's bigger? Yeah.
what, than Steve?
Yeah, than Steve.
Oh,
Yeah, you're bigger than him.
yeah.
That's-
Height, but he got me in width, though.
I mean,
He's
I
got
don't know,
everybody
bro.
in width.
Yeah, look at your shoulders, big dog. How's your off season been so far? After
it's
the
been
season
good.
you had.
It's been good. I just been chilling right now and let my body heal, but I'm about to get ready to get back to it.
Yeah, I mean, look, in Detroit, you had a shot to win. You were in the postseason. No one had you guys going to the playoffs last season. I mean, that had to be a roller coaster ride for your butt going last season.
It was. Honestly, it was fun, though, because it was like nobody knew what they expect from us. Everybody had their own opinion, so we just went out there and wrote our own story.
Bobby, when did you know you had a pretty good team? Because the team was 3-6 at one point. You're going into your bye. Matthew Stafford's hurt, and it just felt like, okay, it's just not going to happen for a lot of people. When did you know? No, we're all right. We might not have a great record at the moment, but we got a pretty good team.
Honestly, I felt like our team was good in training camp. I knew we had a contended team in training camp. I just knew we were young. But at the end of the day, football is football. Age don't matter.
How did you know in training camp?
Honestly, just seeing how we compete with each other and how the coaches just trust all of us at every position. Like, yeah, it was a lot of coaching. It was a lot of teaching points. At the end of the day, you're going to have to do that with a young team. But we was out there playing football and, like, getting after each other.
What's it like for you to line up next to Aaron? Just be honest. Is that intimidating? Is that scary?
Honestly, man, it's like it's first and foremost, it's surreal, man. I grew up watching AD.
Yeah.
I was been one of my favorite players, but at the end of the day, it's an honor more than anything. It just shows that the fruit of my labor is paid off. I'm next to the greatest ever.
I'm here. I'm in the league,
here.
and I'm next to him. But how does watching him help you become a better football player?
Honestly, I wouldn't even say watching him on the field what helped me is watching him day to day. That's the biggest thing. Like, he's the same person every day, in and out the facility, same person, same work ethic. And that just, like, rubs off like crazy because the highest level of professionalism is consistency.
Right.
Yeah.
What about the workout? There's the stories about people trying to go work out with Aaron Donald and it not going well. Have you tried?
I work out with him every day, but I mean,
You keep up?
What? What's
I be round.
I'll be around. Is he competitive in the weight room?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Bro, we was curling one time.
Yeah.
This man takes his shirt off and gets to flexing. And he curling and he talking to me like, yeah, look at me. You see how I'm doing it? Yeah, you see it. Da-da-da. You want to look like this. I'm like, bro, what is wrong with you, bro? Like, it's 8 in the morning. Cut.
But he loves it, though.
He love it.
He loves it. I mean, do you have that same sort of love for the game? Can you develop that sort of love for the game?
Man, I do love the game. And I honestly think I have a love for it, but I think he has an obsession for it. And I think that's the difference between me and him and a lot of other players.
Can you get there? Can you
I'm
get to
going
the
to get there.
obsession part?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I mean, how do you flip that switch? How does it change for you?
I feel like it's not a switch. I feel like you gotta, like I said, between the highest level of professionalism is consistency. So I feel like you gotta, first of all, show yourself that you're consistent and you want to keep working towards that to be obsessive with it.
So you're coming into your fourth season in the league, right? And what do you know now that you didn't know when you first came in? Is it more physical? Is it more of a mental thing that you understand now about the league? What's the biggest difference?
It's definitely a curve physically, but I feel like that's like that at every level of football. But as far as mental, formations and everything, I did not know that in college.
Yeah.
So, like, getting to the league, being in a system where you actually have to know formations, it's like, not only do I feel like that helps me a lot within the scheme, but it helps me a lot as a player between down and distance and knowing what I could expect to get from this formation or at this point in time in the game.
Do you still think you're still thinking it through, or is it just like, okay, I got this now? I know what this is. I know what my expectations are. I know where I need to be. Or you still think, okay, is it this or is it that?
Honestly, I was taught when I first got to the league by Henny to never say I got it. So I'll probably never say I got it. But at the end of the day, I feel like I'm getting the gist of it.
Oh, you just hurt my feelings. You're going to miss Coach Henny. I miss Coach Henny already.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Heck of a coach, man.
Great coach.
Expects a lot out of you. So, I mean, this year for you, this is year 4 for you.
Yes, sir.
Seemed like you just got here. I remember watching you on this stadium when the Rams were in the Super Bowl. Like, you couldn't wait to get in the game. Like,
Man.
but that was hell for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, tell me about that. Till now.
Honestly,
Yeah.
It was – I feel like, man, my career so far, especially it's been 3 years. Like, it don't even feel like 3 years. And I have yet to have 3 full seasons.
Yeah.
Like, I have yet to actually have a full season yet. But at the end of the day, I say, man, my career so far been a roller coaster, but I've seen the good, the bad, the ugly already, between injuries, between suspension, between the Super Bowl, between a winning team, a losing team, a team that ain't nobody had no expectations for. I feel like I've seen pretty much everything, and I've realized, like, expectations don't matter to nobody.
So going into this year, as a unit, as a group, as a football team, how do you guys feel about 2024?
Go win, because we can win. Period, point blank.
That's it.
That's it.
I love that mentality.
Bobby Brown joining us here at Rams Revealed YouTube Theater. So the expectations, like you said, doesn't really matter, right? You're either going to go out there and play well or not. You're either going to win or not. But do you feel them? Like this season, Rams fans, the excitement, getting ready for what's coming up this season, it is different than, you go back a couple of years ago, you're defending the Super Bowl. Let's see if he can run it back. And Sean McVay in front of the Coliseum, run it back. And now here you are, coming off of a 10-7 season, and it's gone from, hey, I don't know what the Rams are going to be, to, the Rams are supposed to be pretty good. Have you at least felt the buzz out in the universe?
You can't help it, especially with social media nowadays. You can't help but feeling the buzz. But at the end of the day, it's one thing Coach McVay coaches and preaches day to day is we, not me, and it's all about us. So once we get in that building, it's all about us. We don't really care about what everybody else is saying. So it's like, yeah, we hear you, yeah, we see it. But that's only fuel to the fire, baby. Appreciate you.
I'm still having visions of Aaron Donald with no shirt on doing curls saying, yeah.
Man.
That's just
at 8 o'clock in the morning.
8 o'clock in the
morning,
morning, man. Like, don't you sleep, man?
I'm trying to.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm still kind of working through coffee number 2.
That's what I'm
8 o'clock in the
saying.
morning.
Yeah. What is the most you've ever bench pressed? Because
Most I've ever-
aren't you the biggest dude on the team, heaviest wise?
One of them.
One of
the
them.
biggest, yeah.
Yeah. What's the most you've ever thrown up on the bench?
Man, the most I've ever thrown up on the bench is 340.
340, really?
That's it.
What about rep wise?
Reps, doing what, 340?
Yeah, like 225.
225. I only did it like 20 times. That's it.
He said I only did it 20 times.
I picture you spinning it on your finger like a globetrotter.
That's what I'm saying. Right. Yeah.
My arm's long, bro. Like,
yeah, there you go.
like
Yeah,
bench
right.
pressing ain't
Short
fun for
arms.
me.
You need like center arms, right? Those
I'm
little short ones.
and when AD bench, he like doing like this. I'm like,
8 inches, right?
Yeah,
Right.
like-
A mile long, yeah.
oh, for real.
How's it changed for you coming into this season with the changing on the defensive side of the ball? Raheem Morris is in Atlanta, and you got a new defensive coordinator in Chris Shula. How's that changed your life?
I feel like it don't change me none. At the end of the day, I have to be me and be consistent within my craft and myself every day. I feel like I just need to go back to the drawing board once we know what we're doing defensive-wise and know the defense in and out like I did last year.
How about these rookies, man? I mean, Puka Nacua, out of the gate, is an all-pro.
Literally.
Is a celebrity in Los Angeles. I mean, unbelievable. He just got here. Is that fair?
Yeah, it's fair. That man earned it. The boy went out there and did what he needed to do.
I mean, that's just like a young football team. You said you knew. I mean, we're trying to figure out how do you start rookies at left guard? How do you start rookies at receiver and be credible in the National Football League and you make the postseason? This guy is clearly something special. When did you see it out of Puka Nacua?
Honestly, like I said, I seen Puka was special in training camp. Training camp, practice.
That's when you saw it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember during the season it was this play, and when I ain't gonna get into the whole story of everything, but it was this play, and Staff threw the ball kind of high. Like, I don't think anybody would have really went and got it or caught it or whatever. And this man Puka jumped up there like I'm talking about. It was like he was floating. Catches the ball, he ended up flipping and falling or whatever, but like he caught it though.
He went up
like,
and got it.
He went up and got it. Like.
Wow.
but it looked like it was completely out of his reach.
Unbelievable.
Like Puka is different.
There might be more there. We were talking about that celebrity basketball game.
I was just going to say, do you know he could play basketball like that?
I wasn't surprised. Most football players can play basketball.
Like that?
Not like that, though.
What?
I mean, they think they can play basketball. Wait, you're not about to tell me you can play basketball?
Can you do that?
Who?
You're not about to tell me you can play hoop.
Who?
You?
Me?
Yeah, you.
All right.
I need video. Come on.
It's on my Instagram.
Is it?
Bobby, 3 eyes 5. You want to see me hoop? It's on the Instagram.
I better see some handles.
I'm telling you, I got all of it. Shot, handles, dunk, defense, everything, whatever you want, brother.
Not just one dribble, turn around and dunk.
I'm telling you, I got everything.
Okay.
I bet you can set a
My
pick.
mama went pro in basketball.
You said I bet you can set a
I
pick.
set a pick, right?
Oh, I can set a mean pick. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not going through
Do
that.
him like Shaq.
Yeah, I'm going under, right? I'm going
You got
under.
it,
I'm
man.
not doing
You
that.
got it. Yes, sir.
at all. Bobby Brown joining us here, Rams Revealed at the YouTube Theater. Bobby, look forward to seeing you
Yes, sir.
This upcoming season. Appreciate you coming by. Thank you
Yes,
so
sir.
much.
Thank you.
You got it. Appreciate it. Those are some long arms and
Big dude.
I don't believe 340, by the way. I think you're selling yourself short. A 340, I'm thinking more.
I think that's just all the weights they had in the room at the time. Yeah. That's what that is. Wow. That's a big man. We taking a picture? Come on.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're going to take a picture for sure. We're going to come back to the YouTube Theater. It is the Rams Revealed season ticket holder event. You got to get in on this. It is a very, very special night here at the YouTube Theater. More to come on 710 ESPN.
Travis and Sliwa.
All the way live. Once again, back to YouTube Theater and back to DeMarco Farr and Travis Rogers.
Let the record reflect that Rams season ticket holder Steve Mason did not come by the show tonight. I don't know if he's here. He may have had prior to commitment, but I was trying to twist his arm today, DeMarco, to see if Mason would come by, and he was very non-committal.
If he's in the building, he owes it to us to come by,
You would
right?
think.
Thank you.
You
Come
would
by and
think.
say hello. I mean, you got to be excited. This is really cool,
It's
man.
very cool.
Yeah.
It's very cool. And look, this is a cliche, but I think it fits. What a difference a year makes, man. Like, think about the mood after the end of the 2022 season.
Oh, man.
A 5-12 team, and the Super Bowl felt like a million years ago.
Yeah.
You know, it was the previous season. And there were questions about Matthew Stafford's health, about Cooper Kupp's health, about whether Aaron Donald was going to continue to play or not.
McVay was going to be here.
McVay may or may not come back. Is
Yeah.
he going to go TV? Is he going to take a break or whatever that might be? And then fast forward to where we are tonight, and the level of enthusiasm and passion and excitement for the team that's coming up, it's off the charts.
You know, it's funny. We do those training camp shows, and, you know, you do what you do. You study, you research, and how are the Rams going to be? And what did you say early? You said 9 wins, 10 wins. What did you say?
I thought this might be a 4 or 5 win team.
Okay, 4
I
or
really
5 wins.
did. I didn't. I thought 10 was a pipe dream.
So when you say that this team could be better than that, you kind of have people like that look at you in the face and laugh. But I tell people that's what they think.
Yeah.
And you heard it from Bobby. Bobby said, I thought we were contenders in training camp. And I'm like, really, man? You had rookies out there, Michael Hoyt at outside linebacker. You thought you can win with this? But, yeah, they were preached to believe that they could get it done.
Yeah.
And this coaching staff impressed upon them that they could get it done. And they've got some wonderful performances out of young guys, and they made the postseason. They made a miracle turnaround after the bye. But they always thought it. Steve Avila said he can't remember the first half of the season. All he remembers is how they finished.
You guys are different, man. Like professional athletes, you guys are different. You have this ability, and I say this. You've heard me tell Kirk this a million times. I'm sure I've told you this a million times. A professional athlete's ability to compartmentalize, to only focus on what is in front of me today. What happened tomorrow doesn't matter. What happened yesterday doesn't matter. I got to do my job today. I got to learn this scheme. I got to block this guy. That's it. And when you hear Avila say that, it's one of those things that makes you go, I don't think it's just something they say. It's true. Like, I didn't even know that we were 3-6. I believe him when he says
Yeah, it's one snap and clear. I said the same thing years ago with Jim Hannafin, God rest his soul. He was coaching our offensive line, and we were doing something like this. And he told the crowd that he knew, the coaching staff knew that we were going to be bad going into the year. And I said, I had no idea. I had no idea we were bad. Even off a 4-win season, I thought we were just 3 plays away from being in the Super Bowl. Blissfully